and good evening. My name is David Dvorak, and I am the poor fool that has to follow Mr. Sorensen. I wanted to clean up my mess very quickly before I trip and make a bigger fool of myself. Thank you. We've been waiting a long time for this. It seems like just performance after performance after performance after performance this year, and finally we get to have a concert. And we thought it perfectly appropriate to theme tonight's concert completely around Mr. Sorensen. For those who never got to come to one of Wilmot's Veterans Day assemblies, Mr. Sorensen was always decked out in full Navy attire. And after each, or at the beginning of each branch, in this medley that you're about to hear, he would set down his baton and about face. He'd salute every veteran in attendance. If you are a veteran tonight, I know that Mr. Sorensen would love nothing more than to honor you. So if you hear your branch's theme, please rise. We would love to honor you. All right, so we're going to take you on a little narrative tonight through Mr. Sorensen's time with us. Mr. Sorensen came to us almost straight from the Navy. Made a quick pit stop at UW Parkside and picked up his teacher's license. But when he came to Wilmot, immediately in 2001, he took over the jazz band. That was his. Mr. Haas said, way better than me. And so the jazz band would like to play just an old jazz standard, Satin Doll, in honor of his work with the jazz band. Trouble with having absolutely everybody on the stage is there's just no room for anyone else. All right. If you weren't able to hear it, I apologize. We didn't get to practice with a mic, but that was Blake Pachochin on the marimba solo in the middle there, and Jacob Vowell playing the bass line on Very Sad. At this time, I'd like to hand off the microphone to one of Mr. Sorensen's students who'd like to say just a few words.
Today, we are here to honor a great man who opened many doors for his students and loved ones. As I got to know him, he showed me that his hard, stern exterior held a beautiful, humorous soul that saw the positive and beauty in everything. I believe being a student of Mr. Sorensen changed my perspective on how life should be lived. Live as if today was your last. He brought so many positive aspects to the term music. As many of my friends and loved ones know, I'm very easily startled. His favorite thing to do when I was alone in the band hallway was to jump out of his obscure hiding places, sometimes wearing his Frankenstein mask in his hands. We'd laugh till our stomachs hurt. We would all love to hear one more chuckle, a joke, a daily fact, or a random piece of information he learned on Facebook that morning. Today, members of the music department show great love and remorse for our dear Mr. Sorensen. As many of our sophomores, juniors, and seniors have struggled with this loss, it's brought a connection to each of us, bringing us closer together. Although we weren't ready for him to leave, he's happier, playing for the Angels. Every day, when I catch a glimpse of a rainbow or a beautiful sunset, I know he's in the sky, showing his love and support for me and all that he cherished in life. Mr. Sorensen was a man who stood by his faith. I believe he sends a message through John chapter 14, verse 27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. He loved all that he came across. As he rests, let us not forget the beautiful man he was. One day, when we join him, we'll play one last ensemble for the heavens.
Thank you, Gabe. Our next piece we'd like to play is one of my absolute personal favorites, and it has a great connection to Mr. Sorensen. In his time in the Navy, he served on the USS Blue Ridge, named after the Blue Ridge Mountains. I loved coming back to Wilmot as a student teacher and just as a fellow band director, and looking in his office because he always had neat things in the back of his office, all sorts of wild, random things. Why is that there? Why is that there? What musical value could that have? But one of the things that he had was a model ship of the USS Blue Ridge, and it's 1/700th scale. I'm just trying to imagine what a teeny tiny 1/700th size Mr. Sorensen would look like on that ship. But it always fascinated me, and it doesn't look like he ever put it together, which is a shame, but he was proud that he had it. So we'd like to play for you now, Blue Ridge Saga. All right, we're gonna make a couple of big shifts in just a moment. This one's going to take just a few minutes, and so while we are moving, one of our students is going to cue up a recording, something I'd love for you to hear. Back when Mr. Sorensen started here in the 2001 and 2002 school year, the wind ensemble actually recorded an album. And if you, I didn't bring it up with me, it's over on the side somewhere. If you really want to see it, you can see a great picture of Mr. Sorensen when he started here in 2001. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to see it from here anyway, so you'll have to catch me sometime. But Mr. Sorensen agreed on that album to perform a solo alongside the wind ensemble, and he recorded "Over the Rainbow" from The Wizard of Oz. Thought it'd be appropriate to listen to tonight. And as soon as I see movement back in the sound booth, we will probably get to hear it. It's not fair, I can run a marathon in my hands. it really doesn't feel like 21 years ago when we recorded it. Mr. Sorensen was absolutely a gift to us and to this school. And speaking of gifts, if you were here for last May's concert, the wind ensemble last year surprised Mr. Sorensen in the middle of the concert, said, "Here, wear this, and we're gonna play this song that you didn't program for the concert, and good luck." And so he donned the sombrero, and he, as I hear, danced throughout the entire performance. I will not be wearing it. This is Mr. Sorensen's. But the wind ensemble wanted to remember him this year with another performance of Mexican Fiesta. someone's gonna knock it off, and it's probably gonna be me. At this point, we're gonna call the concert band back up, and any alumni, if you are out there and you would like to join us, we would love to have your assistance on these next two songs. The next song is called On a Hymn Song of Philip Bliss, and it is appropriately named because the person who came up with the music, the composer, is Philip Bliss. However, the story is actually that of one Mr. Horatio Spafford. And I'd love to tell you a little about this song as to how it connects to Mr. Sorensen. Horatio Spafford was a businessman in the Chicago area and had a wife and 4 daughters at the time of the Great Chicago Fire, and lost his entire business, home, everything, and ended up finding work over in Europe. And so his wife had family out there. She traveled first. She sailed out there to make arrangements for them for living and just getting everything organized. And Horatio Spafford and his daughters were to follow the next week on another ship. And Horatio Spafford got called back to finish up just a few things with his business and just close out all his accounts and make everything final. So he sent his daughters on ahead. And sadly, the ship that his daughters were on, was on sank, and he lost all 4 daughters. The next week, Horatio Spafford, after finishing out all his business dealings, traveled over to comfort his wife, and as the story goes, as his ship was passing the spot where his daughter's ship sank, he penned the poem that became the song that you're about to hear. It might be a very familiar poem to some of you. The words go like this. When peace like a river attendeth my way, or when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. After that kind of loss, the only way to have that sense of peace is to have some form of anchor, something that keeps you solid in the hardest moments. When Mr. Sorensen found out his diagnosis this past June, it certainly hit him hard, but he did not cower in the face of a cancer diagnosis. He did not just withdraw and give up on life. For those who weren't aware, he had already undergone a round of chemotherapy and was fighting very, very hard. He had an anchor. Just find it interesting. I swear there's something in my pocket here, besides a whole lot of keys. I find it interesting, as a Navyman, the symbol of the Navy is an anchor. So, I've already told this to the students behind me, but I hope you have an anchor in life. Something that's going to keep you strong and solid in the face of adversity, in the face of just tumultuous weather in life. This, by the way, is Mr. Sorensen's captain's coin, which was bequeathed to all of us. We'd like to play for you now on a hymn song of Philip Bliss. as you may notice, we have a few more than youthful faces. I'm going to get grief for that later. Up on stage. But those of you who are seated right now in the audience, you are not off the hook. We're coming back to you real quick. We'd like to finish out our concert with our school song. Before you clap, it's your turn. It's your turn. So in your program, hopefully you have a physical copy or a virtual copy. Underneath the other songs are the lyrics to our school song, and we would love it if you would sing along with us. For those who were able to go to Mr. Sorensen's funeral, you know that they played a recording of Mr. Sorensen leading his church in worship and singing while at the piano. And we're not going to quite replicate that right here, but this is as close as we can come, I think, in the moment. And hey, it's our school song. You can do it. You're ready? You just heard it. You know how the melody goes. I'm counting on you. Here we go. All right, parents, I don't know what you tell them at home, but right away, after I turned around, they said, they better get it right. Before you leave, just a few appropriate thank yous. Thank you to Jamie Ivan for keeping my head on and making sure that I took my keys off and didn't embarrass myself before the concert. And for coming in during Wind Ensemble. It's been a joy to have her playing with us. Thank you to her son Jacob Ivan for playing the song, even though I stuck him all the way back in the middle of a row where he couldn't escape. But he's in charge of the lights and the sound, and he's done a phenomenal job. To our greeters at the door, thank you so much for that. Thank you to all of you who raise such wonderful kids that I get to work with every day. It is absolutely an honor and a pleasure. So thank you all for coming tonight. One more time for the Wilmot Band.
15 people.